In this video, I want to talk about one of the common objections to applying light in your business in order to build more trust-based relationships so you can focus on connection, humanity, and treating each person as an individual made in the image of God rather than focusing just on transactional KPIs. So first of all, Light is a framework which I have been developing over the last, more than a year now. And it's basically a system where you can use it in your moment-to-moment decisions, so you can proactively pursue Christ-likeness in everything you do, in your business decisions, in the way that you interact with people on your team, in the way that you do your marketing, your business, your outreach, whatever it is, the way that you interact with clients, the way that you service your clients, and you try to deliver the best service possible. So Light stands for love, integrity, gratitude, humble service, and transformative excellence. And when you apply those 5 characteristics of Light and you consciously make a decision to pursue them in the short term, moment to moment, you will always be aligned with the pursuit of Christ-likeness in the work that you do. And the premise behind Light is that it's essentially what you see in Matthew 6:33, which I will paraphrase what it says, but basically it means if you pursue kingdom impact, if you pursue righteousness, if you pursue doing things for the benefit of others, if you pursue a life of sacrificial love towards everyone that you interact with at all touch points of your business, and that is your highest order goal that you are going after, you will find that all of your worldly goals, KPIs, targets, metrics will be achieved as a byproduct of doing so. So to put it another way, if you have a mindset of you want to interact with everyone out of sacrificial love, you want to do things for the other person, regardless of where they're at in their journey, in order to be a blessing to them, in order to actually help them, in order to do something for the other person without the expectation of something in return, that over the long term, you will find that your business will increase profit margins. Note I said profit margins more so than revenue, and I'll explain why in a moment. You'll find that you'll have a better working environment. You'll find that you have a better life. You will find that you regain your love and passion for the business that you once started, and overall your life will be better. You'll have more meaning and purpose in the work that you do through your business, other than chasing your targets and KPIs. Plus, everyone that you interact with will be drawn towards you, and it's basically a win-win situation that comes from the abundance mindset. So, very quickly, I mentioned that by having this approach, you will increase profit margins, and I deliberately use the term profit because the way that this system works, would be that you are focusing on building strong, trust-based relationships with the people that you interact with. The way that you would do this in your marketing would be that you would focus on the people that are drawn towards you. You would then nurture those relationships one-on-one without necessarily having any agenda. If you're selling a high-ticket offer, a high-priced offer, a service, coaching, consulting, whatever it is, you will likely have a call with someone before you try to sell them. The purpose of the call should not be to sell them, to hit your conversion rates. Rather, the purpose of the call you should go in there with the intention that you want to find out what this person is struggling with, what challenges they have, what problems they have, and actually ask them questions. Listen actively. Show them that you're listening and you care. Give them the best solution for their situation, regardless of if it's your product or service or not. And by doing so, you will probably find that you'll have more conversions by doing this as an example. And when you do have a client, when you focus on building the relationship, rather than having a common thing that you see happening in businesses is that they become addicted to the discovery and acquisition process. And as soon as they've got the sale on the client, all the attention goes off the individual that's just made the sale, because the business is focusing on getting the next sale, the next sale, the next sale, the next sale. So while the person that becomes a client does receive the service, it's certainly not at the same level of attention, care and depth as they would think they would have. And maybe they can articulate this consciously, maybe not. I have certainly been on the receiving end of this before, when I have signed up to coaching programs in the past, and people gave me so much attention before I committed and actually made the payment. But as soon as the payment was taken, everything kind of fell off a cliff. Yes, I received the coaching, the service, whatever it is that I was promised as part of it, but it didn't quite feel the same. And I'll hold my hands up as well, and when I worked in the past with my marketing agency and as a direct response copywriter, I did exactly the same when I got book calls for clients as well. And so I contributed to this process, and I was a recipient of this process as well. The point being that this is kind of what typically happens. So if you want to do things differently, you would focus, if you want to focus on having trust-based relationships in your business and the pursuit of Christ-likeness in what you do, well, you would still focus on the discovery process, and you would still want to get your book calls, and you still want to convert people into clients, especially if you genuinely believe that your service is going to be a benefit in their lives. But as soon as someone becomes a client, that's when they should start to get the VIP treatment. And as they progress through whatever service it is that you have, you would want to identify the clients that you have the most resonance with and that are drawn towards you, and you will find that the relationships naturally develop as a result of you interacting with them. Some people will be naturally drawn towards you, other people will not be naturally drawn towards you, and that's just a way of life, that's just a pattern in all forms of life. You then identify the clients that are drawn towards you, and then you focus more and more of your energy and attention on them, as opposed to focusing on the discovery process. And you would apply the 80-20 rule here, and you would identify the 80-20 people in terms of connection, and you would find the 20% of people that have the stronger connection, and then you would give them 80% of your time to nurture, to help to build that personal relationship with them, rather than the opposite, which is what most people do, which is they put 80% of their attention on getting the next person in. And so this is a long way to explain why applying light in your business will increase profit margins. Because if you deliver a good service and you have a strong connection with people that are paying clients, they are much more likely to continue paying for your service, and they are much more likely to refer other people like them to your business. So, using an example of a client in the past, they had I can't remember what it was now, because it was in Aussie dollars and not US dollars. But I think they had just for numbers' sake here, for the sake of simplicity, so I'm not doing conversion rates in my head and all of this stuff. But imagine a client had an offer that is $5,000, and in order to get one sale of that offer, it would cost $1,000 on running Google Ads. So they would run Google Ads. They would, for every $1,000 they spend on Google Ads, they would get a client that would go through their funnel and their onboarding system in order to become a client. So this is factored in that they would have 3 or 4 book calls before someone would become a client. This is factoring in that the length of the sales cycle, and considering that you may spend the ads today but not actually get the client in 3 months' time. It's complicated, but just for the sake of simplicity, $1,000 to make a $5,000 sale. In theory, that sounds fantastic, doesn't it? Well, the sales team also get their 20% commission on the sale. So $1,000 on ads, and then another $1,000 to the sales representative that has sold the offer. $3,000 left. The infrastructure within the company required to deliver the service, which would include all of the tools and software that they have. It would include the labour costs for the team that would onboard the clients. It would include the coaches and the team members that are working with the clients, who are good at what they do, so they command a higher wage. If you want quality, you have to pay higher prices. And so let's say for each client, the operating cost for each client would be $2,000. And so this is pretty representative of what the business that this client had. So effectively 80% of the cost, 80% of the revenue they made from one sale of their high ticket offer has already gone, which is problematic. So they only actually get 20% of the sale in their business, which was about $1,000 for everyone that was onboarded. Now, what this doesn't factor in is that some months the cost to get one client is much higher than $1,000 based on what's happening in the world, external worldly events, macroeconomics, and a whole variety of things. In these cases, you have to come up with different ideas in order to sustain the business. You also then have to factor that they would promise to get a result within a specific time frame. Let's say the specific time frame with a guaranteed result would be 3 months. Not every person is going to get that result in 3 months. And so therefore, the costs also increase as well. And there's other unexpected costs that come into servicing this particular client. If you have a service-based business, you understand how this works. And so the way that applying light in your business would result in higher profit margins is because if you're focusing on the one-time sale, like what this client does, every time you make a sale, you are looking 80% of the sale has already gone on various expenses. Instead, if you focus on building relationships and you prioritize the clients who have strong resonance towards you, you have a real connection between you and your clients. You have a good relationship with them. There's a lot of trust established. And if you're delivering results, they're going to want to pay you every single month. They're going to want to stay with you, especially if you're working with the right clients. That's pretty much the way that I operated as a freelancer and in my marketing agency before, where I would focus on trying to get high clients that would pay me a monthly fee in order to deliver a service. And so it would take a lot of time in order to get the client. There was a lot of short-term sacrifice in order to get the client and to find the right client. But the system and the process that I had in place would mean that I would be able to get these clients that would pay a relatively high fee on a month-to-month basis, where every time a client pays a monthly fee, you don't have to pay your sales team and you don't have to pay for the acquisition costs. So with the example of the client before, if 20% went on ads and 20% went towards a sales commission, by having some kind of continuity in your business, because people want to pay you, they want to remain with your business because they like you, there's trust, there's connection, and you're delivering a result. You can remove that 40% cost immediately. So you literally double your profit margins by having this continuity in your business. And then the second reason is that if you were to look at the acquisition costs, that if you want to remove ad costs and you want to not rely on ads because it's unreliable, it's inconsistent, unpredictable, it's predictable and then it's unpredictable, and all the issues that come with that, relying on an external platform, you're relying on your ads remaining compliant, and a whole bunch of other things that we won't go into here. Well, if you have strong relationships with a core group of people, they love your business, they have a lot of resonance with you, they've connected with you, they've connected with your business, all you have to do then is to introduce a simple referral system, and you could offer incentives for people that refer people to you, which would be less than the cost of the ads. But also, a lot of time, people are going to be referring others to your business without expecting anything in return because they want to, because they like you. And so by applying the L.I.G.H.T system in your business, not only are you actively pursuing Christ-likeness in your own life, within your business, and you're stewarding your influence internally within your business, you're stewarding your influence with the people that you interact with through your content, through your marketing, through everything that you do. You're also increasing the profit margins because people are going to want to continue working with you after you have already paid the cost to acquire them, the ads, the commission on the sales. And so you can remove that straight away, and then you're getting the continuity off them when all you have to do is pay for the expenses in order to deliver the service, and then you're getting referrals from them. Your profit margins will increase as a percentage of it, as a byproduct of it, sorry. And so the big objection to this concept is that it won't work. And so I can give you a few examples now of why the opposite doesn't work, or it does work, but not all the time. And so, first of all, I've got a list of examples to talk about. I will give you 3 examples of where it did not work for me by pursuing transactional goals. I will give you a real-world example of a personal relationship of where this went catastrophically wrong. And then I will give you a few very quick examples of how I'm living light and applying this in my own life and relationships now, and when I'm starting to get benefit and gain traction. And then I will give you a practical thing that you can do right now, which was probably one of the best ways that I could help businesses find hidden revenue in the past. And so first of all, the first example of when the pursuit of transactional gains did not work was I once worked with a client, and we had an agreement that I would deliver an average of 6% return on their investment on the fee that they paid me each month in new revenue that the company did not otherwise generate. The way this worked was they were not doing any kind of email marketing. They were focusing just on the acquisition of new prospects, running ads to book call, which is pretty common with the people that I work with. And they had a big email list of people that had booked a call and not done anything, or they signed up to book a call but they didn't do anything, or they opted into a lead magnet or bought a book or bought a program, whatever it is. This email list was 30, 40, 50,000. Over several years they didn't do anything with it. I can come in, I took them through my process, which I'll go into, it's not relevant to mention here, but essentially we had a monthly fee where I received a fee in exchange for guaranteeing that they would make 6 times what they paid me in new revenue. Yes, this didn't include the cost of the sales team and the the delivery of what the cost for the business in terms of delivery. But when you factored all of that in, what I was doing was to help them increase their profit margins. And in terms of profit, they were getting 2 to 3 times in real profit on top of what they paid me when you exclude the expenses. And so I worked with this client for quite a while, and one day, completely unexpectedly, I received a message that said from the client that said that they're very sorry to inform me, but at the end of the month, I'm going to be terminating my contract with them as a result of I'm one of the biggest expenses that they have, and they are cutting back on costs. And to this, I was completely and utterly shocked, because I was, on some months, I was giving them 10 times what they were paying me in revenue, which was probably 4 times more in real profit. I had always over-delivered. I had helped them get out of sticky financial situations multiple times, because the business was, they made a lot of money, but they also had a lot of expenses. And so a few bad months got them in the red, and I got them out of that sticky situation a few times. And so I said to him that, well, explain to me what the problem is. What have I done wrong? Because this is what the agreement is. I have consistently delivered you more than I've promised. On average, over the time that I've worked with you, it has been substantially more than what we agreed with. What have I done wrong in order for you to want to do this? The answer completely shocked me. It knocked me kind of back, and I could not believe what they said to me at the time. The answer was that this was February, March, and the answer was that, well, you know that it takes a couple of months in the sales cycle from we spend the ads to actually getting the sale. Yes, I know your typical sales cycle is 3 months. Yes, understood. Well, if we go back 3 months from now, it was Christmas. Yeah, and it was Christmas. I remember I worked very hard in December to get a lot of book calls for you. You had a lot of book calls as a result of my efforts in December. Yes, I remember. We did an end of the year sale, I think, and all of this stuff. Well, actually, the way that your agreement with us works is that if we assume that our historical average conversion rate on a call is 25%, and so in order for you to give a 6x return on your investment, you need to get a certain number of book calls. Because let's say we have 10 sales in a month. In order for me to hit my target, for numbers' sake, and the average conversion rate is 25%, well, I would need to get them 40 book calls based on their historical company averages, which I did. Well, it was Christmas, and our sales team, they were in Christmas mode, and a lot of them, they weren't necessarily converting as well as they should have been during Christmas, because the holidays were coming up, and then they never followed up with people after the holidays, and you know what it's like. So we didn't actually hit the targets, and as a result of that, because you're a high expense and you are an unnecessary expense, we don't want to get rid of permanent staff. You're a contractor. We're going to end your contract, and that's what happened. Why did that happen? Because the entire relationship was transactional. There was nothing deeper than that relationship other than the amount of money that they got on their bottom line. It didn't matter to the owner of the business that I had given them substantially more than what I promised. It didn't matter to them that it was not my fault that they were in that situation. It was the fault of their sales team. And that was it. I'm not saying this is a bad client, because this was a good client, a really good client. But this is a situation that happened, and that's what happens in a transactional setting, because there is no loyalty beyond the bottom line, which was a big wake-up call to me. And the next example was, I was working with someone again in Australia, and he was early stage in his business, a bit smaller, but I had an email system that I was going to introduce to him, spoke to him, outlined what the plan was, all of these different things, and he was trying to build his business. He had a baby at the time, and a new baby, and a whole variety of different things, and so over several months, this was for a fixed rate, but because of the client was having so many different things going on, the project which I expected to take maximum 2 months ended up dragging on 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, nothing being done. And then it would mean that after several weeks had passed and the guy kind of didn't do anything, we'd have to have a call again so we can align with what he's doing and all of these different things. So I put a lot of time into that project, and there was times when he was struggling in his personal life. He was struggling. Well, he had a new baby. My son was a little bit older at the time, so I could kind of help him through and give him some support. There was the times when he received nasty messages from people that didn't want his emails, which demoralised him, and I kind of helped him and supported him through that. And then we kind of reached a point where he pivoted so much from what we agreed on that the email system would not actually give him the outcomes that I promised. And so I faced a tough decision, because I could have literally gone on my laptop, completed the project for him in an hour and a half, 2 hours tops, given it to him, and then justified the outstanding fee, which was, at the time, it was pretty substantial when the company wasn't generating any revenue. But I decided not to, because he wasn't going to use it, and so it's not the right thing to do. And then I explained this to him and said, well, what I propose is that you pay me a percentage of what the outstanding balance is, because this project's gone on so long, it's not what you need anymore, you've pivoted, all of the time that I've given you, it's up to you, you don't have to, you kind of, it's up to you. And his response, again, completely shocked me, because his response was, Sam, I'm paying you for a deliverable, I'm paying you to give me something, you have not given me what you were promised, so I'm not going to pay you. And, well, obviously he didn't say that in such a direct way, but that is the essence of what he was saying. And the point is that this entire situation here is he did not do the right thing, because his perception of me was, I am promising to give you 10 things, for example, and I have only given you 2 things. There is 8 things outstanding. That is the transactional mindset. And then, from my perspective, I've given him all of these extra things as well, and he had not, all of the time, all of the care, all of the attention as well. But it was nothing. It didn't register him, and that is because we went in on the transactional side. Now, because I pursued what was right above what was wrong here, I actually. So the story goes afterwards is that I remember he said he flew with his baby when the baby was 3 months, and that planted a seed in my mind about when my second son was born, about going back to England so my parents could meet the new baby. But there was no way I'd want to fly on a plane with a baby. And so after the contract ended and we both walked away, I contacted him and asked him how it was flying climb on a plane with a baby. And he told me it was a dream because she slept all the way and only woke up for milk, and it was easy. They did not expect it, but it was easy. And that planted the seed for me to go back to England, and my parents then very generously paid for the flights for us all to come back, which was based on how much the flights for us, my family, to go back to England and back was actually more than the fee that the client would have paid. And so by me focusing on doing what was right, the pursuit of Christ-likeness, having Christ-like integrity in that situation, I actually got more than the amount that was outstanding. And so that's an example of what happens when it's transactional, and an example of when you pursue light. The next example is me personally, and that was in my former marketing agency, that I was doing outreach on LinkedIn, and it was costing me, I hate to think, but what we're looking at is tens of thousands of dollars is what I spent trying to do this outreach in terms of I spent tens of thousands of dollars trying to get clients in my former agency, and I just could not get it to work, and I could not understand why. I spent probably 10,000 with one agency over a period of 12 months, and I got absolutely nothing from that in the end, and that became a big burden for me until I had to end that. I spent on LinkedIn, thousands on LinkedIn trying to get clients. I spent tens of thousands on labour costs on a team where the entire focus was on outreach to get new clients. I spent a lot of money on, again, thousands on trying to get advice from so-called LinkedIn experts to find what's going wrong, on coaches, working with multiple coaches, one-on-one coaches, group coaching, done-for-you services, all of this stuff. Nothing worked. And I still to this day don't entirely know why I had no success at all in my agency, and why it just, all my money went into it. Because I knew what I was doing the right thing. I know what I needed to do, and I was doing what I was needed to do, but it just did not work. And in hindsight, I think it's because it was entirely transactional, and I was trying to use just the typical transactional high volume marketing approach, and I think overall that just destroyed any relationships that I had with people, and the people that I did attract to me were the people that were transactional themselves, and then I wondered why things didn't work. And so that cost me a lot of money, which in proportion I've gained experience now and lessons in what not to do. So yeah, I've to put it politely and nicely, so it doesn't feel so painful, I've invested a lot of money in learning why it does not work if you pursue the transactional approach, because it just, I ended up having to I just closed the business. I ended up hating the business that I had. I ended up taking out my stress on my wife, on my son Jamie at the time. I fired one of my team members in hindsight in a particularly nasty way, which was unintentional, and I just lost my temper over something that was relatively insignificant. But that was because I was already about to erupt with all of the emotions and things that I have to keep bottled inside, and it just caused so many problems. And now that after I became a Christian and I learned that the application of what's in the Bible it transformed my life and my outlook on things, and the focus then is on the relationship, that my life has done a complete 180, my business has done a complete 180. So a personal example is that someone that I've I've developed a close relationship with someone through the church. Both me and my wife, with this married couple, and every time we interact and meet with them, the relationship gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Compare that to what I used to do. Anyway, I won't go on and give more examples such like that. But apart from one, there's Barbara, who works on my team, who is fantastic and the best thing that I could have possibly asked for. She takes the initiative, she comes up with ideas, she understands the L.I.G.H.T framework more than I do, and she genuinely cares about what she does. Trustworthy, and she's the complete opposite of the people that I had working for me before, where they only wanted to work for me in exchange for their hourly rate. Barbara is different. She genuinely cares about pushing the mission and being part of the team and being part of what we're trying to do at Kingdom Impact Lab. And it's a complete 180. And so this video has gone on, and well, I know that nobody's watching the video, so it doesn't matter if I'm not succinct, because the purpose of me recording these videos is to develop the ideas, to get a deeper understanding, to understand what the framework is, so that I can present it to people in a clearer, more precise way. But the one simple action that I want you to do in order to apply this, the lesson here, in order to prove that it will work, and it's this. Look in your business now and identify the people in your business that are giving you the most revenue each month. Apply the 80-20 rule to your clients and find the clients that are either currently paying you or have paid you the most in the past. Then send a message to them with no agenda, no call to action. Just send a message to express and to show your sincere gratitude for the clients, past or present, to be part of your business. How grateful you are to have the relationship, how grateful you are because they have supported you, and hopefully you have supported them in the process. You don't overthink it. Just if you got a lot of clients, find the top 5 clients, for example. If you're relatively small, identify the 80-20. But this depends on how much time and effort you want to put in. If you want to send just 2 messages at a minimum, 1 message at a minimum, 2 is better. But try to send 5 to 10 if it's possible of the people that are paying you the most, even more. And just send them a message, genuine appreciation, coming from you, personal, one-on-one, and send it to them. And then do nothing. Let me share what happened when I did something similar to this at the end of the year. I decided that I wanted to express gratitude to all the people in my life and my circle, just to say thank you for them being a part of my lives. I probably messaged 30 people in total. It took me just over an hour to do. Apart from people coming back saying thank you, I've made the day, I'm really happy and all of this stuff, and actually knowing that I've had a positive impact on them because I gave them a specific piece of something specific that they have impacted me or what I've learned from them. Their lives were better as a result of it within that day. But I also then had someone make an introduction to me where I got a mentor, and this mentor now I've been working with over 4 months, just 1 call per month, nothing too much, and I'm receiving so much value as a result of this person mentoring and coaching me. In the past, when I tried to get people to do this, I would be paying thousands, and this person is doing it for nothing. And that came as a result of me expressing genuine appreciation, and then one person referring me and making an introduction to someone else. That is what happens as a result of pursuing light, the pursuit of Christ-likeness above all other things, and you will find that the outcomes that you want in the business as well will come as a byproduct. Try it in your business. When I used to go to businesses, and one of the first things that I would do in order to make a big impact on the business is I'd be able to go in and find some hidden areas of the business where they're making revenue, but they could be making more. Hidden revenue opportunities. This is one of the ways that this is a variation on one of the ways that I used to use in order to generate more revenue from existing relationships within the business. So if you I went in a transactional mindset, and I would make money for the clients. If you go in with, you genuinely want to show sincere appreciation, you will probably find you'll get even more from that. And if you do this with past clients who no longer work with you, you never know, some of them might want to restart the relationship. At the very least, they may want to make introductions. So that's all, a long way to explain, to overcome the objection, this won't work. But hey, no one's watching. It's my opportunity to talk it out, teach to learn, so I can understand it more. That's all. See you next time.